In today's video, I'm going to show you how to crochet the classic granny square and how to do it without all those tails to weave in at the end. So I'm using some cotton Aran weight yarn to make up my squares with a 4.5mm hook, but you can use any yarn and hook, just go for the hook size recommended on your yarn ball band. So I'm going to start by putting a slip knot on my hook and then chaining 4. That's 1, 2, 3 and 4. And I'm just going to join to that first chain with a slip stitch to form a ring. And I'm then going to chain 3. This counts as our first double crochet. I'm then going to put 2 double crochet into that ring. That's 1 and 2. I'm going to chain 2. This makes our corner space, and then we're going to put 3 double crochet into the ring. That's 1, 2 and 3, and then another chain 2 for our next corner space, and again 3 more double crochet into the ring. These, when you have 3 double crochet together like this, is often referred to as a granny stitch or a granny cluster. So that's our next granny cluster. So we're going to have another chain 2 for the next corner, another granny cluster into the ring, seems to be a bit hot here today. My yarn's getting a bit squeaky. Right, let's chain 2. It's unusual actually for cotton yarn to squeak. Let's join with the slip stitch to the top of that chain 3. That's our first round completed. So I'm going to change colours every round to make these lovely coloured squares. But if you wanted to make a square where you were just using one colour, you would then slip stitch into the next 2 stitches, 1 and 2, like so, and then slip stitch into that corner space, and then chain 3 for the start of your next round. But I'm going to be changing colour, so I'll just pull that back and let's fasten off. Now I'm going to show you how I deal with the ends so that I don't have to deal with them all and sew them in right at the end. So I fastened off. All I do is I turn over the square, and on the backs of the stitches you've got these little bumps here. I just put my hook through like so, and the next stitch as well, and then we're just going to grab that tail and pull it through, and I'm going to do this on the back of this cluster here as well. So I'm going to go through all 3 stitches here and then just pull that through. And then what you're going to do is on the following round we're going to be working into these spaces, so that's going to get held in by the stitches on the following round. So we're ready to add our next colour. So I simply put my hook into this corner space, bring the new colour through, and then we're going to chain 3. So this counts as a double crochet, and as we're in the corner, so we're going to work at corners. From now on they're going to be all exactly the same. So we're going to put 2 double crochet into that corner space, chain 2 for the corner, and then we're going to put 3 double crochet all into that same space. It's 1, 2 and 3, and we've got the next corner space. So we're going to basically repeat this into each of these corner spaces. So in the next corner space, 3 double crochet, chain 2 and 3 double crochet. So you go ahead and do the same in both of these last corners. So it's 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet, and then the same in that next corner, in that last corner. And also just remember to make sure you're working over that tail as you go around. So once you get to the end of the round, you're going to finish off by joining with a slip stitch to the top of that chain 3. And as you can see when we look on the other side, we've worked over the top of those ends that we tucked in the previous round. So now if you're continuing with just one colour, again you will slip stitch into the next 2 stitches and into the corner space and then chain 3 from there. But I'm going to be joining a new colour, so I'm just going to fasten off and again just going to take that tail through those bumps on the back of the stitches on the back of your granny square. Okay, so I'm going to join in my next colour. So I really wanted to use some red for these granny squares. I didn't have any red in an Aran weight, so I've got this 4-ply yarn, which is the equivalent of a US fingering weight. And I'm using 2 strands held together. So if you're new to crochet, you can actually do this if you don't have the weight that you want. You can hold multiple strands together, and 2 strands of fingering weight yarn will equate to the same as an Aran or a worsted. So I'm going to be starting in this first space after a corner on the left hand side. So from now on, this is where we're going to be joining the yarn in. It's always going to be that first space to the right of the left hand corner. So I'm going to, whoops, lost one of those ends, chain 3 for our first double crochet, and then I'm going to put 2 more into that same space. Now I want to carry this tail over to the corner, so I'm just going to, I've worked the first part of that double crochet stitch, I'm just going to lay the tail across over my hook like that, then finish off that stitch. And what this does is it just lifts it up to the same height as your stitch, so that you're not getting long floats at the back when you carry your yarn across. This way your squares are going to look just as pretty on the back as they will on the front. So then you're holding that tail across to this corner, and we're going to yarn over with the tail and the working yarn, and then go into that corner space, then pick up your working yarn, pull up that loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2. And then if you just give this little bit of a tug, it's going to kind of hide in amongst that stitch, and we can then work over this tail. And when you're working over the tail in a corner, it's held in place by 6 stitches instead of just 3, so it's a bit more secure, and then all you need to do is just trim that end off afterwards. So we're going to work a corner, so we need 2 more double crochet, and then chain 2 for that corner space, and then 3 more double crochet into that same space. And now into the spaces we've got on the sides, we're going to put 3 double crochet. That's 1, 2, and 3. And next we're at our corner space, and the corners are always going to be the same. So it's 3 double crochet, chain 2, and 3 double crochet. So you can continue around your granny square, and each space across the sides, it's always going to be 3 double crochet, and in the corners 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. So I'll meet you back when you're ready to join at the end. Once you get to the end of that round, you're just going to join with a slip stitch to the top of that chain 3, and then we can fasten off. Now you continue repeating that last round until your granny square is big as you want it to be. So you'll join in your yarn. Every time you've got a space on the sides, it's always going to be 3 double crochet into each of those spaces. That's 1 granny cluster. And when you're at the corners, it's 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. and you can just keep going, making your granny squares as big as you want them to be. And the back of your granny square should look like something like this if you've used my method for dealing with the tails. So once you've finished your square, all you need to do at the end is just snip them off. Don't get too close because you don't want to cut your working stitches. But all you do is simply trim those ends, and you will of course have your one final tail at the end that you'll need to sew in. This type of granny square is great for making smaller squares, but if you want to make a giant granny square, you might end up with very twisty corners. And if you want to learn how to avoid this, then watch this video next. Bye bye now.